So I'm working on a video about his back, and I've got about an hour and a half of it done. It's taken me a while, and I wanted that to be the first one that I did. You know, after coming out of hospital, it felt sort of fitting, but he did some sort of cognitive age test thing on DSP versus the internet over on DSP Reacts, like it's another part of the building. So we're going to have to give that a look. A lot of people have asked me about it, so we'll see what happens. I know that he doesn't keep his answers, though. I know he doesn't keep track of them. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to keep track of the answers I think he should take as well. I've done something similar to this before when I did the narcissist test. That was quite a while ago now. Might be worth a revisit. But yeah, let's give this a look and see what happens.
All right, we got time for a couple more videos. Let's see what we got.
Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to our channel, and thank you so much for all the love that you've given us. Your ongoing support has helped us make psychology and mental health
What is your
more
true
accessible
age?
to
Oh
everyone.
boy.
As a quick disclaimer, we wanted our viewers to know that this is a fun activity video, and this video should not be taken too seriously.
Oh good, it's gonna say I'm like mentally like 90 years old. You ready? It is. We're gonna watch this video. I'm gonna be like a geezer. I know it too. I know they're gonna say that.
Just as any
It sort of reminds me of like the Dr. Kawashima brain training, where you know, on the Nintendo DS, where you do a couple of like the Stroop test. That's the thing where, you know, the word red will be in blue, and you have to say blue, not red. So, yeah, those are sort of like not typically used for diagnostic purposes with regards to, say, a personality disorder or a mental illness issue. It's just something that you do to test like how well you're functioning cognitively. You know, it's just like some sort of quick tests that work out how you're thinking and sort of like make you consider or process information any other way. So anyway, let's see what we get anyway. Let's go.
kind of diagnostic
go.
criteria. With that said, let's continue. Did you know that not only do you have a physical age, which changes with the ever-turning wheel of time, but that you also have a mental age?
Can't wait to hear
that
this.
will never change.
Either I'm gonna be like mentally 2 or mentally 97. Watch.
I feel like there's compelling arguments to be made for both. You could argue that he's like mentally that immature that he's basically a toddler, and you can also argue that mentally he's just like his cognitive processing is so rusty and so slow that he's closer to like pensionable age. Wonder what you'll get.
There's no
Different
way
from
I'll be
your
my
physical
age.
your mental age is how old you are emotionally and psychologically. Your physical age and your mental age do not have to be the same.
Okay.
As an adult, you can have a low mental age, processing a childlike view of the world around you. A young person can have a high mental age, indicating that you're wise beyond your years.
Oh God, please, please, please do not stop this video right now to say, yeah, that's me. Please just let it carry on, Phil. I have this terrible feeling that he could go like, yeah, that's me. I was always smart when I was a kid. People always said that I was, you know, smarter than my years. I would ask like really technical and complicated questions in class, and you know, I read like books at a level beyond my classmates' ages and all that stuff. I have a terrible feeling he's going to do that, and I hope he doesn't.
It's important to note that mental age is also not your IQ number, but rather an expression of how you feel inside.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Figuring out what your mental age is a great way to become more self-aware.
He's going to do terribly at it then. That proper got me that one. That was good.
If you'd like to learn about your mental age now, grab a pen and paper or open up the Notes app on your device.
Not fucking about me.
You can take this fun quiz to determine your mental age. There are 10 questions to answer, so make sure you mark your answers as we go.
Okay. Let me open my Notes app, and we'll do this.
Right, so he's opening his Notes app then. So, wait. How many questions does he get in before he forgets to take... I don't know now. Is he going to lie about this? Or is he genuinely going to forget? Because if he's genuinely going to forget, that is like quite alarming psychologically, you know, in terms of cognitive processing. Because like he's literally being told to do it now. He's literally doing it now. You cannot tell me that he's about to forget like a question or two in. I think he's lying about it. No, he can't genuinely forget. Can he? No, he can, can't he? He can. That's the terrifying thing. He can genuinely forget this. Oh my god. Please. I need to know. I need to know now.
On. Have to do a new one. Do this so... Okay, here we go. All right, I'm ready to go. Ready? Shit. Get out of here. Here we go.
Let's begin. Number 1. What do you usually do when you make a mistake? A. Admit you made an error and try to fix it. B. Try to figure out why you made the mistake in the first place. Or C. Laugh at your silly mistake and ask for help so you don't make another one.
What's he going to go for here? I don't think any of those... I think he's going to struggle with that. Like, I don't think any of those would be what he would actually do. He would try to find a way to blame it on someone else. We know this. He took his car off the road to try to blame, like, just some random stranger that drove too fast. Anything in the house breaks, it was Kat that did it. She's the one who comes up and tells him, hey, Phil, this thing's broken. The shower's broken. The vacuum's broken. The garbage disposal is broken. The fucking oven's broken. Everything that breaks, she's the one who comes and tells him. So he would automatically try to find a way to blame somebody else for it if he did this. Let's see what he says.
Okay. When I make a mistake, I guess it depends on the level of mistake. Because, for example, let's say someone accuses you of doing something wrong. If it's something silly, like, oh, I accidentally booped someone standing next to me, I say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that, right? You know. But if it's something serious, like, oh, you made a horrible calculation error and now you're in huge trouble for it.
Right, you've been given a situation where you've made a mistake, and for most people, making a mistake is something small. It's like, you know, misplacing your keys or forgetting to bring back someone's Tupperware. You know, it's something little. It's not something that would normally prompt that level of thought, because the level of mistake that you're being given is indicated by the three options you have. You apologize, try to fix it, you try to figure out where you went wrong, or you laugh at it and don't take it too seriously. Those are the three emotional states this question is a measure of. So the fact that he's going, well, hang on a minute, let's break down the fundamental premise of the question. How serious of a mistake are we talking here? Let's negotiate with the person asking the question. How serious are we talking here? Are we talking accidentally bumping someone on the subway? Or are we talking about accidentally mounting the pavement and killing 3 people because you ploughed into a bus stop? Where's the line drawn? You know, most people don't do that. Most people will think, when I've made a mistake, I usually apologise and own up to it. Or, you know, I think about what I did. You know, I try to laugh it off. It's something, you know, light and silly and fun. Those are the 3 sort of emotional ranges we've got. And he's like, well, can we consider a 4th? So this is only like 10 minutes and I'm worried already.
Well, let me double check to make sure what you're saying is right before I admit to the fault of the mistake, right?
See, it might not even be my fault. It might not even be my fault. What do you do when you usually make a mistake? I consider if it's not my fault, I need to think about that. I need to look at all the other options and consider whether somebody else is to blame. Fuck. I just said that. I just said he would blame somebody else, and here he is going, well, hang on a minute. Let me think about it and see if it is my fault in the first place. Fuck.
And then figure out why I did it wrong. So I would say if it's a silly thing that's not serious, probably A. If it's a serious thing, probably B. figure out why I made that mistake so I make sure I don't make it in the first place. But double check actually isn't even here. Like, just making sure you really, what happened isn't even there.
This is the first question. Oh my god. Oh my god. Phil. Double check is not an option because the question is when you have made a mistake. Not when somebody is accusing you of making a mistake. Not when you are a suspect when a mistake has been made. Not, Your Honour, we are here today because this person has been accused of making a mistake. So the people in the jury, members of the jury, you are asked to consider whether the accused felt guilty, said sorry and tried to fix it, or tried to figure out what he did wrong, or laughed at his silly mistake. The point is that you have made a mistake and it wants to know what you would do in that situation. And as I joked about, as I mentioned, you have looked to blame somebody else for it. You have looked to sort of like say, hang on a minute, it might not be my fault in the first place. Can I not double check? Do I not get a lifeline in this quiz? Can I not phone a friend? Oh no, I don't have any. Fuck. Oh, God. What did he pick? Did he pick B?
So I would say it's A or B, but it depends on the situation.
Right, so which one are you going for?
Number 2.
Oh, neither. You're supposed to pick one, Phil. The first question, and already the scoring system has been thrown out, and he has not written it down. Did he write it down? I don't think he wrote it down. He didn't write that down in his note. He cannot. He did. He actually did, didn't he? He did. He forgot. He actually forgot. Oh my God. This is a hell of a video to come back with. He forgot. Okay, right. I think, okay, so he said A or B. A/B. I think he would just go B. I think he would look for reasons why. I'm going to adapt B into the closest thing I can to B. He would look for reasons why. Because B then involved like thinking about it. It involved trying to figure out where the mistake was made. So I think that's the closest thing I can think of out of the three options for try to think if it's somebody else's fault. Try to clear my name. Try to avoid blame. That's the closest thing. Try to figure out where you made the mistake in the first place. I think that's it, right? And I think he did. Did he?
If it's a serious thing, probably B. Figure out why I made that mistake so I make sure I don't make it in the first place. But double check actually isn't even here. Like, just making sure you really, what happened isn't even there. So I would say it's A or B, but it depends on the situation.
Yeah, he just moved on. Yeah, he just moved on. Right. He really did. Oh my God.
Number 2.
Oh, wait. Am I supposed to write, what am I writing down? It didn't say to write down anything.
He's looking at the camera like, you cannot be serious, dude. You cannot be serious. He did not just open the notes app on his phone after being told you're going to want a piece of paper and a pen, or you're going to want to, use the notepad app on your phone for this video quiz that doesn't give you links or buttons to click. He cannot have just said that. I cannot believe this. I'm in shock. I'm in shock. I cannot believe he is this bad. A multiple choice quiz where you have to write the answer down. I can't believe that he actually just said it didn't tell me to write anything down. Well, why can't you remember A or B right now? Write that down on your phone, which is presumably on your knee, or at least like on the desk in front of you. You know that you picked either A or B. So write that down now and carry on with the second question. I this is wild. Oh my god, right. Okay, come on. I thought, because this is about 10 minutes long, this bit. I thought this wouldn't be this long. I thought it's probably not going to be a long video to come back with, and that's okay. There's only so much I can do. Why did I worry about that?
Right? It didn't say to write down 1, 2, or 3.
Why does it need to say write down 1, 2, or 3? You should fucking know that. It told you at the start. Keep a pen and paper or your notepad and write your answers down as you go. Are you really expecting it to sort of like read the question and then read the 3 options and then go, okay, you may now write down, like it's a fucking exam, you may now turn your paper over? Why? Why? Fucking why? Peter Box Gaming, you've already failed a test. He fucking has. He didn't tell me to write my name at the top. There was nowhere that said name. It can't all be this bad. It can't. It can't. God. Oh God, right, okay. This next one's about friendship, right, okay. Oh God, he's not even going to start, is he? He's still going to moan about this.
So, what am I writing down?
What? How? Like, oh God, okay. Earlier on today, King Jad did a stream. King Jad did a stream with Broside Phil. And Broside Phil had never seen the clip from Bully, where he does the geography test.
He's going to watch the Bully playthrough, but we all know, we know, everybody knows what the best part of that is. And like, it's just that there's one particular part of that playthrough which people only want to see. And let me see if I can find it.
I was like, do I not know this arc, or is this the bathroom arc that that was talked about in mainstream media?
So give me a second here. This is the only reason to watch this Phil play Bully. This right here is the only reason. Actually, let me skip forward to how you shouldn't do it. The good idea and bad idea. The good idea starts off with how you fucking meant to fucking do this quiz. But then you got...
Hold A. Match the flags to their corresponding province,
This.
state, or country. What?
No,
Have you never seen this before?
I have not. He can't
Oh.
be this dumb.
So, brace yourself, okay? Brace yourself. So yeah, he's playing Bully. And it's a flag of Europe, as you can see. And you got a whole bunch
If
of
he
countries.
fucks up Italy, I will lose my mind.
Prepare to lose your mind.
And I thought that was long ago Phil. That was young Phil. That was early YouTube Phil. That was Phil, like, on the brink of adopting direct capture. So, you know, it was idiot Phil. It was stupid Phil. It was Phil that wants to look up guides and just burn through things quickly, which I know is not that far divorced from today Phil. But I thought that was like a one-off thing, a fluke. It was just like because of the unique circumstances of Bully being set in a school and presenting the side quests, the mini games and things like this. They're presented like tests in different lessons. So when he's given the geography test, it's a mini game. You know, you have to match flags to countries, and I thought that was just a one-off because it was a Bully. It was Bully. It was there. He may actually be this bad at tests. How did he get, like, a degree? How did he get, like, valedictorian? Look at him. This is a YouTube video. And he's confused about what he has to write down when he's been given 3 fucking options and picked 2 of them. Oh god.
All right, let's continue. I don't even know what we're supposed to do.
He told him piece of paper and a pen or the notepad app on your phone and keep track of your answers. And then he gave him 3 options and he picked 2 of them. And then he doesn't know what to do when the video moves on. Did he think like a box was going to pop up where he could put in his answer or something? This is one of them where it's like you keep tracking and at the end it goes if you know 3 for an A, 2 for a B, 1 for a C. That sort of thing, innit? It's going to be like that sort of cumulative. And then if you score between like, 10 and 15 or whatever, and then, 15 or 25 and then 30 or, that... And he's confused. He's confused about this. He doesn't know what to do. I understand why so many people message me about this. I worried about not being able to get that much material from it because I thought it will be quite a simple, straightforward. It probably won't be that cognitively interesting because it's going to be one of those Dr. Kawashima sort of things. It's probably not going to reveal much about him psychologically that I can pull from. And he's confused about the fucking quiz. He told him to keep track of his answers and he doesn't know what to do now that it's moved on to question 2. I am at a loss for words. This cannot be happening. This cannot be happening. I need a break. I need a break already. We're at question 2 and I need a break. God. What has this come to? What is detracting? What is my life? Oh my God. What even is downside? Is there even any cognitive activity going on up there beyond fast forward or rewind? Pause. Is there anything happening? He's already forgotten. He opened his app specifically to keep track of his answers and he's already forgotten about it. That is like the sort of giant red fucking flags. That's a really bad thing cognitively. How badly does alcohol affect your short-term memory? Let's all be honest here, and as somebody who... There are so many nights of my life that have ended in like sudden blackness, and then I've woken up the next day impressed that I've managed to get home. So, I think it's time you laid off the gin before you did these, Phil. I think when you're going to do something like this, I get, you're playing a game and you're streaming like normal. You want a few before you do the stream and your podcast. That's fine. But for these, where the whole point of it is, it's supposed to be random stuff and you're supposed to react to it. And this involves a sort of certain level of unpredictability, a level of randomness that you as a narcissist and somebody who's like intellectually lazy, you're not going to be very good at like improvising such great insight. So granted, he knows what's coming because he constructs the playlist. He sees the submissions and he gets rid of the ones he doesn't want to do. But something like this, you might need to keep your cognitive faculties a bit more functional, a bit drier, a bit more sober, so that they can actually work to the point where you can remember that you open the note app to keep track of your fucking choices on the first question. Yeah, I need a break. Already. I can't go on. He's going to ask him about friends next. I need to prepare. I didn't think I'd have to do much work with this one. I thought it would be relatively straightforward. And now I'm sort of thinking I need to go back and do a lot of reading about cognitive psychology. I did a bit of cognitive psychology, but I wasn't great at it. I could follow it to a point, and then it started getting into like the proper neurochemistry of it, and I couldn't follow along. But that sort of decision making, that sort of, I don't suppose you could call it decision making, because there's not a decision being made. You know, he's like actually thrown for a loop by what he has to do, even though he was given instructions previously. That feels like it's a flaw somewhere cognitively, somewhere in the brain. Like part of the brain is not like processing properly, so some part of this whole thing just doesn't register for him. Like he was told, right? The video laid it all out for him. He was told, we're going to ask you a question, give you some answers. Get a paper and a pen, or open the note app on your device. You're going to, as in, you are going to be writing down your answers as we go. And it's a YouTube video, so it's not like, it's going to give you buttons to press or links to click or anything. It's not like it's going to give you a text box for you to write an answer. And he's completely thrown when, after doing the first question and picking 2 answers, not 1, 2, he's then like completely thrown when the video moves on. And that is not a normal thing. Most of us could process that. Most of us would be able to follow that. There has to be something wrong up here in terms of the actual part of the brain that's responsible for processing this sort of information in the first place. Your brain processes lots of different sorts of information, so different parts of it do different things. You get a lot of information constantly, so some of it processes oral information that you hear, AU oral. Some of it is responsible for producing speech and regulating that, and some of it is responsible for hearing other people's speech and processing that, separate to environmental noises. And some of it's like for processing visual information. Some of it's for processing like your taste and touch and pain. There's parts of the brain working to deal with different sorts of things. And I feel like the part of the brain that is responsible for this might be broken in him. So I feel like I need to go back and do a lot more work than I thought this one would be, because I thought it would be more like a Dr. Kawashima thing. And it's not. It's a bit more like a different sort of survey, maybe a personality survey, even though it's not measuring the personality. It feels like that rather than Dr. Kawashima. So maybe there's more in this, and maybe I was wrong to worry about how long the ending video would be, considering how short the clip is. Let's carry on.
What's the first thing you do when a friend cancels plans on you last minute?
Right. We know because it happened to him when he was going to WrestleMania. He gets, I think his words were, asked out.
As early as a week ago, as soon as a week, as close to now as a week ago, people were saying they wanted to go, and all of a sudden everyone said we're not going. So I'm pretty asked out.
So he doesn't take it very well. Let's see what the options are.
A, tell them it happens and find another way to spend your time.
Mm-hmm.
B, feel upset about it, but move on eventually. C, try to find another day to hang out and have fun together.
If it were just a friend casually, I would do C. Yeah, it would be C. I was like, well, I still want to hang out with you. Can we do it another time? B, I could feel like B would be this case if for example, this is a friend who's canceled on you before and they just habitually cancel on you. Now you're going to start feeling B. You're going to start feeling hurt, right? Like A doesn't even seem to make sense To me, A is like, well, didn't you want to hang out to begin with? If you wanted to hang out, then let's do C.
No, it's saying like, don't worry about it, we'll deal with it later. C is do it now. Let's sort of like, right, okay, it's fine, but you know, are you free on Friday instead? That's what C is. A is like, oh no, it's fine, mate. Don't worry about it. It happens. Yeah. Well, hope you're feeling better soon. Anyway, I know. I guess you do get the shit sometimes when you know, we had arranged to meet to discuss payment, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. You know. How has he got this wrong?
B, I can understand B or C, but if it's just the first time it happens, it's definitely C.
Right. So we're going with C this time then. Okay. You good? We're going with C because I think you go with B again. I think I don't even think you'd get over it. You would bring it back up again. You would use it later on if it benefited you to use it. You would absolutely hold that over somebody. You would have it as, you know, your trump card, your one up, your, you know, you owe me for this. Do you remember that time when, you know, we were supposed to be going out to Iron Maiden and you cancelled? Yeah. You know. It was Metallica and I had a migraine, okay?
Number 3. How would you normally react if someone was angry with you?
Okay. You'd slag them off and say they were never really your friend and they only hung out with you because they were John's mate. 7 years later, of course.
A. Give them space to be angry before talking to them. B. Try to work things out right away. Or C. Tell them jokes until they forget their anger.
Honestly, for me, it's probably B.
Really? Really? I vehemently disagree. I think it's A. You do not like conflict at all. You do not like being forced into situations where you have to resolve things through communication and compromise. You would absolutely just give someone space and you would never go back to that. You would leave them for as long as it took. You would wait for them to come back to you. You would never. You had to be told by the side scrollers, by Craig, hey mate, you know that guy that you feel like quite bad about the way you were with him and you know you wish you could say sorry and all that, that's on Twitter that you could be DMing right now. Why don't you do that? You had to be told to do that. You had to be told to do B, and it wasn't even right away. If you're going for B, I'm going for A.
Because I feel like if something's wrong, it doesn't matter how long you wait, it's still wrong. And you want to if something went wrong, if I did something wrong, I'd prefer to know about it right now so that it can be talked out, hashed through, and fixed now.
No. Sorry. The way you handled John and Howard is just the complete opposite of this. You did not want to work things out right away. You did not want to address the issue. You moved away. You moved away to like another part of the country. And they did an hour-long podcast telling you what was wrong. I ever get to the point with my like interpersonal relationships where someone that I've considered a close friend is doing an hour-long podcast of like how much of a shit I was to them, I would like reassess everything about my life and my personality. I would consider that. I would listen to their like argument. I would listen to what they say, and I would think, have they got a point? And I'd really think about what I did. As I'm sure most of us would, if it got to the point where somebody that we considered a friend was doing an hour-long podcast with another friend about how much of a shit friend we were. Because I completely believe I came away from all of that with the impression that John and Howard, multiple times, tried to tell him what was wrong, what he was doing was wrong. They tried to tell him, hey, mate, this is inappropriate. This makes us feel like shit. You know, you should be doing this. You shouldn't behave like this. They absolutely 100% did. And he will either have like argued or been like, oh, okay, it's fine, I won't do it next time, I promise, and like just change nothing about himself. There will have been no self-reflection if it ever came up, and instead he will have just let things like, oh, well, you never said so, I assumed that it was fine. You know, you never said anything about the t-shirt, so, I took all the money for it. You never said anything about being paid, so I bought a new car. You literally had the opportunity to work things out with respect the pact. You were supposed to meet them to say, here's some money to say thank you for everything you did. And good luck with, your new lives and your families. And you chickened out and you emailed them and said you had the shits. There is no way somebody like that picks B.
And if it's a case that it can't be worked through, then at least I know that so that I can leave the person alone. But I would say B for me for sure. It's B.
Number 4. What's the first thing you would do if you won the lottery?
Scopely's profits would go whoosh.
People are trying to say it is hand graphs. If hand graphs were on the card, this would count as hand graphs.
I think he's either gonna say pay off debt or like take my wife on a honeymoon, assuming they're options. But we all know what the real option would be. It would be DoorDash and Scopely. He would be hitting up Total Wine and he would buy out the entire stock and he'd never have to leave the house again.
A. Pay off your bills and put the rest in a savings account. B. Go on vacation and make new happy memories. Or C. Buy that cool thing you've been wanting for a while.
All of the above. Well, no, B and C. You wouldn't pay off debts. You think, right, consider how much debt he's got left and assume that he won the lottery to an amount that would pay all that off. Do you think he would pay all that off? Do you think that he would actually pay off his debts with the lottery winnings and not spend them on himself, not waste them, not fritter them away on Champions and DoorDash? Do you honestly think he'd pay off debt?
A. Immediately A. Make sure that everything's paid off completely. I have no outstanding debt whatsoever. Have the rest of it in an account and then decide what I want to do with it next. I would not do as much as I want to go on a vacation with my wife, A is the more important thing to do for sure.
He's going for A. I'm going for C. He would absolutely waste that money. And he would come back on stream and beg. And we all know that's true. If he won the lottery to the point where he could pay off all his outstanding debts, he would be back on stream begging. I'm sorry, I'm aware that that's caught by the microphone. I'm sorry. I'll do it like that next time. Anyway, he went to A, I went to C.
Number 5. What's the first thing you would do if you had to choose between two equally good things? A. Think on your previous experiences so you make an informed decision based on facts. B. Make a list of pros and cons and then choose the option with more pros. Or C. Ask someone for their opinion and do what they suggest.
I'm not sure what I think he'd do for this. I think he would say, like, ask somebody else for their opinion, because I feel like he asks chat all the time about, what game should we be playing. But the problem is he doesn't actually listen to them. You can say, what I don't know which games, are coming up. Maybe, this is something that we could talk about and together we can come to a determination, So I feel like that would be C. I feel like maybe he's going to say B. List the pros and cons. Because A involves cognitive effort. And what about if you've not got experience with the thing? So
I have a very analytical mind. So for me, it's probably B. Like, for example, if my wife and I are trying to decide what we're going to eat, it's our day off and we're going to order out, right?
Really? That's such a rare thing, Phil. You never do that.
Okay, well, we can either get Mexican or we can get Indian. Well, here's the pros and cons. The pros is that, we haven't had Mexican in a while. You can get a delicious burrito, you get tacos, you get variety of stuff. What are the cons? Oh, well, actually, one of the meals we're planning to make later on in the week is Mexican themed. So we probably don't want to have Mexican this week because we're going to have Mexican later on in the week. See? So for me, it's definitely B.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I don't think that you would seek other people's opinions because you're always right. So why would you consider somebody else's opinion?
Number 6. How do you usually handle a major disagreement in the workplace or in school?
Or in chat. Lean in. Oh, God.
A. Calmly discuss the disagreement and try to come up with a compromise. B. Go to a supervisor or teacher who would be able to help figure out what to do. Or C. Get the other person to see your side of things.
It's C. Don't go what he's picked. It's C. Unless he was at like risk of fault, where going to a supervisor might put him in trouble, he would usually try to displace responsibility. But if this is a situation where he is presented with an opposing side, it's going to be C. He's going to want to make them see his position. He's not going to want to consider theirs. He's not going to want to do A, where you listen to both and try to reach compromise. And he's not going to want to displace the opportunity, the responsibility onto somebody else. He's going to want to argue his case. He's going to want to make the other person believe what he believes. I feel like he's going to pick A, but really he should pick C.
Well, here's the thing. Probably the first thing you want to do is explain your side of things. You can't do A without C.
I did not think he would be this explicit.
A is like the end of it. Like C is like, here's my side of things, just agree with me. A is, so you know my side of things, we'll agree to disagree, but still get along, let's compromise.
Agreeing to disagree isn't really compromise. Compromise involves both parties reaching an agreement that is beneficial for both sides, and that might involve, having to change or alter your behaviors, or you stop doing a thing, or you start doing something else in order to help the other person or the other party. Mediation is difficult. That's why it's a thing you can study and qualify to do. So I feel like, again, he's like fundamentally misunderstood the question, because the point is how you handle disagreements, and A involves you talking and considering both sides, and C involves you don't want to consider both sides, you just want to make the other side see yours. So you can have A without C, but he doesn't think that, because he's misunderstood how... Is this a sign that his conflict management skills are terrible? I mean, I assume they are, because he's terrible at arguing and, handling conflict in general. He always backs down from physical conflict, at least. I feel like this is a fundamental lack of conflict management skills. It's something that, is emblematic of, Mike Watson and Jaha threatening to kick the shit out of him and him immediately collapsing and cowering. Or it's like slagging off Keemstar, and then the moment he's on the same stream, it's like, Sir Keem, how about, you are, just trying to put up a front when very, very clearly not being the socially dominant one in that situation. He struggles with that. And it's why he ends up doing stuff like emailing Respect the Pact and saying he's got the shits, because he doesn't want to handle that conflict, and he doesn't want to handle that sort of like them going, right, okay, well, so if even the possibility of them going, right, if this is the last opportunity we've got to see you, then let me tell you how much of a shit you were to work with. He doesn't want to risk anything. He doesn't want to risk conflict. He doesn't want to risk having to talk to John and Howard about how inappropriate it is to monetize a person's death. He's bad at conflict management. So he assumes that compromise involves you state your case unequivocally and make the other person see that, and then you can talk. Fuck me.
Probably you start with C, but then eventually you try to go to A. So I would say A.
Right, yeah, no, you're going with C, mate. I'm giving you C. You might say A, but I'm saying C.
Number 7. What would you usually do if you had a big project due tomorrow?
Try to get someone in chat to do it.
A. Get started on it right away so you'll be able to relax later. B. Take some time to relax first and then start working on it as soon as you're done relaxing. Or C. Alternate between working on it and taking breaks.
I feel like he's going to say take A, get rid of it as soon as possible, and then you can relax. But I feel like, given his reticence to do anything proactively, be it preparing for a slow day by saving money from a really good day, to, maintaining your house so your bathroom can be used. I feel like in all sorts of ways he's bad at like doing that, like prioritizing properly and getting it out of the way. And I feel like he would more often than not relax and not worry about it. He might panic and do all, emergency streams and all that, but he's not actually going to do anything about it. He'll just relax. So I feel like he's going to pick A, but I feel like it would be B.
Depends on the project. Sometimes you can just barrel through something and get it done first and then relaxing after makes sense. But sometimes, especially if it's something where you're just stuck in front of a computer screen or staring, like for example, when I'm working on my taxes, I'm staring at that screen, my eyes start to bug out. I'm looking at a spreadsheet, I'm like, oh my God, it bothers me. So you got to take like a 5-minute break and get up and leave and then come back.
Oh my God, my dude, it's like, just go with the idea of again, most people would just go with that. He's questioning like, how big of a project are we talking? Whereas most people will just be like, I can either work on it now, or I can work on it later, or I can, alternate between relaxing and working on it. It's like, if you gave him the trolley problem and said like, if you pull this, it saves the 4 people, but it kills 1 person. But if you don't pull it, it kills 4 people. And your inaction is, the whole point of that. And he'd be like, well, can we talk about what sort of people they are first? Because, if they're good people, I might want to save them if the one on the other track is like a serial killer. Fucking hell. Indrid, I will get round to playing Trolley Problem for you, I promise. I know I streamed it with Scott, but that doesn't technically count. That's still, I will play it for you as well, promise.
So I would prefer A, but if I have to do C, I would do C. I would never do B first. It would probably be A for me here.
So he's going for A, and I'm going to give him a B because I think he would put it off as much as he could.
Number 8. Which of your responsibilities would you eliminate if you could?
Paying bills. Paying for anything.
A. Paying bills.
A it is.
B. Doing laundry. Or C. Picking up after yourself.
Oh, all 3. I mean, that's why he married Kat. To do all 3. Let's not, pretend otherwise. He complained about having to do his own laundry and make his own food and clean up, as well as paying bills. That's why he married Kat. There you go. I think he would go for bills, but all of them, I like equally likely. But I'll go with bills if he's going with bills. That's fair.
A. Doing laundry and picking up after yourself are just common things you can do easily throughout the day. It's not a big deal. It's easy to get into habits. Bills are, could be a very fluctuating thing depending on life instances and things like that. It's definitely A.
Number 9. How would you habitually react when someone compliments you?
Ooh, this is going to be interesting.
A. Accept the compliment and give them one in return. B. Accept the compliment and thank whoever complimented you. Or C. Don't accept the compliment by saying you don't deserve it.
Ooh, okay. This is interesting. I feel like he would just accept the compliment. He wouldn't even thank the person. He might actually, when he tends to get money and tips and things that are like, I've been a fan since, the start of the Industrial Revolution. Your Fallout 3 playthrough got me through some dark times. Is tenner, 20 quid, whatever. And he goes, "Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that." That seems like it's that. But I feel like in order to manage a image of being, just sort of like a reasonable, approachable person, just casual bloke, he's just like one of you guys, I feel like he's going to go for A, because that involves an act of kindness. It involves paying a compliment back to somebody. It indicates, like a sense of empathy, or a sense of, being easy to associate with, or being nice to be around, being a good person. Whereas I think the answer would actually just be he would accept it and say, "Yeah, cheers, mate." But for image management, he might go for A.
B for me, for sure.
Number 10.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I was going to give you a B anyway, but yeah.
How do you normally respond when you embarrass yourself?
Oh, the camera's on her. The camera's been on the whole time. I am unreasonably proud of myself for that one.
A. Acknowledge and validate your feelings, but realize it doesn't matter in the long run. B. Try to pretend like nothing happened, but internally obsess over the feeling of embarrassment.
Ooh. Now that laugh there. Ooh. I feel like you were aiming for A. You recognize, like, the public impression that carries, like being able to casually brush off an embarrassing incident. And you, as the guy who have masturbated on stream and, even used it, like, to go after Pro Jared at one point by going, "Look, I'm still here. If you can't survive something like this, then, just stop." You don't want any skeletons getting out, so stop. At first, he did try to ban anybody who mentioned it. He tried to silence it, and within like a day, it became obvious that he could not stop this. So he might as well lean into it. And credit where it's due, leaning into it is the best thing he could have done, and he did that. So fair play to him for that. I feel like he's going to go for A based on that, because otherwise, you might look like a bit of an arsehole, or you're going to look like an idiot, or you're going to, you've embarrassed yourself. So, it's all about how you handle it from that point on. I feel like that laugh was a sort of nervous recognition. He knows that on a proper private level, that is what he would do. He will obsess over embarrassments. Whereas publicly, to manipulate the public image, A is the better one. But that laugh, that's really giving something away there.
Or C. Feel upset over it and possibly even cry.
Okay. You wouldn't cry because it's a display of emotional vulnerability. And it's also, seen somewhat negatively socially, It's especially for men. So I feel like he's going to go for A, but really it would be B. He would try to laugh it off, but internally he would he would be all over it. He would obsess about it. It would cause him a lot of anxiety. So, yeah.
Usually for me, it's just A at this point. Like when I was younger, it probably would have been B, but now I just don't. I've been through so much shit online that I just don't care anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I just literally don't care about shit that people say about me or trying to embarrass me. I just don't give a shit. So,
yeah, I thought so, but I think you haven't actually grown or matured enough, to warrant being able to say A. You are still at a point where it is B. You internalize these things and you obsess over them because you can't let these things go. Publicly, you're able to bat things away and be like Teflon Phil, nothing sort of brings you down because you're still here. You're the pig roach. You're indestructible. You'd survive a nuclear holocaust. So, yeah, you're going to go for A. I'm giving you a B. Ooh. And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, let's find out what scores we've got.
A.
Okay, are you ready for your results? If you got mostly A's, your mental age is between 40 and 55.
Now wait a minute. They never said to write down A, B, or C.
There it is. He told you right at the start.
There are 10 questions to answer, so make sure you mark your answers as we go.
Okay.
You opened your notepad.
Let me open my notes app, and we'll do this. I didn't know if it was a number calculation or how it was going to work. So now I'd have to go back and recalculate everything to figure this out. I said a lot of A's, but I also said a lot of B's. I don't think I ever said a C, did I?
Yeah, the second question. The second question you said C.
B, I can understand B or C, but if it's just the first time it happens, it's definitely C.
I've given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've given you mostly B's. You gave yourself mostly B's as well, depending on which way you want to take the first answer. So if you want to go with A for the first question, you get mostly A's. And if you want to go for B for the first question, you get mostly B's.
I don't think so.
Your mindset is more so self-assured and secure. You tend to think about things in a matured manner. If you answered B the most, your mental age is 20 to 40 years old.
Honestly, I think I
You
said
struck-
B the most, didn't I? I said either A or B the most. I don't think I barely ever said C.
With finding your way. And though it may be difficult, you always wind up on the right path in the end. If you answered mostly C's, your mental age is between 10 and 20 years old, and your perception of the world is young and bright.
Yeah, see, I barely said C at all. I think what it is I'm a lot of B's, but I'm now starting as I'm getting older, I'm turning into an A type.
Now as you're getting older, you're 40. You are not even 42 yet. I fucking hate this shit. Like, it's infuriating because, I'm a year younger than him. And I'm recovering from major back surgery. And I think I'm more, physically active than him. And I do more to keep myself mentally active despite the prodigious amount of painkillers I'm on. So, it's infuriating to see him sitting there going, yeah, I'm getting older. There's not much you can do about, my cognitive development, my emotional maturity, my mental age. There's, the fact that, my reflexes are shit. Nothing you can do about it. I'm getting old. Carpal tunnel, over the hill. Fucking hell.
So, and it makes sense. As I get older, I'm more mellowing out. I'm not caring as much. I'm trying to be more metered. Let's compromise, right? It's not my way or the highway anymore.
I feel like this is gaslighting. I feel like this is him just lying to his audience straight up. They know this to not be true. They know this is a lie. They know he is not mellowing out. He has been getting worse. He is objectively getting worse. He is becoming more frantic. He's becoming more desperate. He's becoming more tense. He's becoming more easy to snap. He's becoming quick to temper. He is way more unstable now. I can't get over this. Keep talking, Phil.
And that's A. So that makes sense. Okay, guys, gals, and everybody else, thank you. This was a great DSP versus the internet show.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. We're done. We're done. I need to have a few moments to myself to properly compose myself. I know it's not a long one. I don't know why, but it's just better out if I can. So I went back to my notes, I had a look and I had a read of a couple of papers, and I found a couple of things that I'd like to bring up here. The first is a paper by Tulving and Thompson in 1973. And it's called the Encoding Specificity Principle. Now, I know it sounds a bit complicated, so let's break this down. Before this point, most sort of research into memory and recall and how the brain encodes data in the first place was all to do with your behaviorist principles. Think your classical and operant conditioning, Pavlov's dogs, Skinner's rats in the box, things like that. And it was assumed that as an organism, we respond to cues from the environment, and the point of memory was it was mainly associations and how those associations, I think it was called interference, theory. It was basically looking at how those associations come to be formed in the memory and which things get remembered and associated and which things don't when recalling things and when like encoding things in the first place. But Tulving and Thompson proposed that what actually happens at the point of retrieval is just as important as what happens at the point of recall. Hi everybody, Editor Steve here, just going to correct that error because I misspoke. What I meant to say was that Tulving and Thompson showed that what happens at the point of retrieval is just as important as what happens at the point of encoding, not recall. It's a slight error, it's only one word, but it's quite a significant word to get wrong, so I thought I'd better at least audibly correct it rather than just flash some text up on screen that you might miss. And to, pay penance for that, I'm going to deny myself Lucozade for... I was thinking a week, but that seems a bit extreme, so maybe a day. But even that seems a bit, actually, do you know what? I'll get back to you on this one. So they tested this by having two groups of people, and they gave them a bunch of words to remember, and then had them recall as many as they could later on. And the first group was just blank piece of paper, here you go, recall as many as you can. And the second group was given categories of the words that they memorized. So they were given like a category like fruit, and they would be able to recall more of the words than the other group that was just told do it on your own. So Tulving and Thompson argued that this is what's important when it comes to recall of things. What's happening then? Not just what happened previously, not just your entire experience of that thing, but what's happening at that point when you're remembering, what's happening around you in the environment and in context of whatever media you're consuming. So with Phil, it would be that after being told, grab something to write with, you're going to be writing this down. There should then have been a prompt later on to remind him to write it down. And that's a normal thing, we all do it. It's part of how our brains encode and recall data. That's what Tulving and Thompson proved. So it's just alarming that he needed it to that point. Most people can contextually understand this. They can understand that I'm watching a video that's going to, present questions and options. I've been told to grab a pen and paper to write it down. And then when the first question is up and you've picked your answer, most people will understand that that's when they should write it down. The fact that Phil doesn't is what's alarming. There's also Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, in which Kahneman proposes, based on a lot of research with his partner Amos Tversky, that we have two modes of thinking when we're making decisions. And he calls them fast and slow. And basically, fast thinking is what we do most of the time. It's sort of fairly autonomic things. Like when you learn to drive at first, you're conscious of everything around the road. And then when you've been driving for a few years, you're not as consciously thinking about things. You're still paying attention to the road, still, obeying all the laws and everything. But driving becomes easier because you've done it more often. So you don't need to dedicate as much cognitive power to be like, right, okay, this turn's coming up. I need to flick, my indicator. You just do it because you don't have to consciously think that far ahead. So we rely on fast thinking most of the time. And for most of the time, it's fine. It does its job and it gets us through our day. But it's also subject to our biases and our prejudices. It's also autonomic. You can't turn it off. It's also wrong sometimes. It can be fallible. It can be mistaken. Whereas slow thinking involves consideration. It involves much more actively thinking about the decision you're making, weighing up the pros and cons of each potential outcome, and then making a decision based on a wider set of information, a wider knowledge base. So the two are they're how we think. They're how we mainly make our decisions. We're either doing it quickly because it's a sort of relatively mundane decision, or it's something we're thinking about. And again, that Phil was sort of like, wait a minute, it didn't tell me to write anything down. suggests to me that he's in the sort of mode 1 thinking, where it's like, I am watching this video and I just need to get through it so I can move on to the next one. And then, you know, if the option comes along, I'll take the opportunity to check for tips and see if anything's come in. I think he's in that mindset because he's sat there in, you know, the React studio on the other side of town, and he's not really engaging to the point where, you know, a quiz requires it to, because he is stopping and consciously analysing each choice. But in terms of actually taking the test, he's not. He's acting like they're questions and has completely forgotten that he was told, keep track of your answers. So when it moves on and he realises, I've not written anything down, it snaps him out of the automatic fast thinking, type 1 thinking, I think it's called. I think he calls it type 1 and type 2. Oh, I might be wrong about that. It's been a while since I've read Thinking Fast and Slow. Hi, me again. Yeah, I was wrong about that. It's system 1 or 2, not type 1 or 2 or mode 1 or 2. But either way, 2 different sets of thinking. And one is fast, one is slow. And Phil is in fast mode because he's just in his regular, usual, it's Saturday, I'm doing the React. Sunday, I'm doing the React. And yeah, let's just, you know, right, great, whatever, next video. Yeah, right, great, whatever, next video. He's in that mindset. He's not ready to be snapped out of mode 1 fast thinking as he is to be like spending time in your slower thinking. Got the options, and then I'll think about them, and then I'll move on to the next question, and then I'll move on to the next question. He's not thinking, right, I'll take a test. I've got my pen and paper. I'm ready for this. Let's see what the first question is. He's not in that mindset. And, you know, that can be read as either a condemnation of his psychological state, his cognitive capacity, and his mental faculties and abilities, or it can be read as, you know, just Phil being lazy and entitled and, you know, just not giving a shit about his content. Or it can be read as both, because they're not exclusionary. They, you know, the one doesn't preclude the other. They can both be true at the same time. So yeah, those are a couple of things. I'm sure there was something else as well. I'm sure there was like a third thing. I can't remember what it was. I remember what the third thing is. It's EQ, which stands for emotional quotient, like IQ is intelligence quotient. It's basically your ability to recognize and manage your emotions and the emotions of those around you. Obviously, you don't manage other people's emotions the same way, but it means that you can recognize and understand when somebody's emotions might be affecting their behavior or their decision-making skills, and manage your emotions accordingly. So it's quite a crucial thing in terms of establishing interpersonal relationships, managing conflict. A lot of the writing and research around it is based around businesses, because it has, you know, a lot of application there. As obviously businessmen, they need to, you know, make deals and things. They have to be able to sell you on something. They have to be able to talk in a certain way. So it matters a lot there, but obviously it has social psychology applications as well. So it's quite an important thing. The concept itself sort of dates back to around the 50s or 60s, but it really came to prominence with, I think it was Howard Gardner's 1983 book called Frames of Mind. He sort of argues that contemporary theories around intelligence sort of couldn't explain the full range of our cognitive abilities, and instead proposed like multiple sorts of intelligence, such as emotional intelligence. You have to be able to, you know, like I said, manage these things. You have to be able to recognize them in others. You have to be able to apply your understanding of other people's emotions to interactions with them. You know, you know when your best mate's upset, you know when people are happy, you know when you're in a social setting and you think, oh, an argument's going to break out here in a minute. You can sort of manage these things and your responses to them. You can also recognize, I feel quite upset today. I'm feeling very, very depressed. Today feels good because I feel like something good's going to happen. You know, or you wake up in a good mood and just, you know, you have a wonderful day. You can manage and regulate your own emotions, and so you can understand when they're affecting you, when other people's are affecting them, and it's basically what that test was measuring in Phil. So I asked him, in this situation, what is your response? So it's sort of, gauging how well he is thinking emotionally and how well he can interact with other people emotionally. You can test for it. There are like personality tests. It's not a personality thing, but there are tests along the same lines. So you could find some free ones online. Proper professional test though, there is a proper professional test, and I can't remember the name of it. It's like like the author's surname emotional test or something like that. Editor Steve, do your magic. But most of the ones that you'll do online are sort of like they'll give you a statement, and then you go from strongly agree to strongly disagree, or very accurate to very inaccurate. That's a Likert scale, by the way. That's what that's called when you have like a scale like that. But the proper serious ones tend to have other aspects to them. It's not just all statements that you agree or disagree with. There's like part of it where you are given pictures of people's faces and you have to recognize and name the emotions. So it is a proper gauge of like you're thinking on several different levels, not just, I agree with that or I disagree with that. That's not me at all. But yeah, it feels like it's quite a relevant thing because of the content of that survey that Phil did, the content of that video that he reacted to and spectacularly failed to take down the answers for. I did think about like filling a quiz in for him, like at this point onwards, but because I've done that with the narcissism one previously, but a lot of it feels a bit, again, you're missing those other aspects of it, the other parts of the test, so it doesn't feel like it's as accurate as it could be. And when it was the narcissism one, that was either a yes or no thing. That was one or the other. So I could argue either way, but on a scale of thinking like, how accurate is this to Phil? How accurate would Phil answer it? It feels a bit more difficult. And also, this is getting on a bit now. I know it's shorter by my standards, but at the moment, there's only so much I can do in a video with like recording and editing it. So... and I've already got my back video on the go, and I don't need another huge video to take up time. I would rather be working on that. But I might be able to do like a couple of more little ones along the way. It might be if he does something that I think, yeah, there's something I could go into here, because this one, this came about because a lot of people messaged me and they tweeted me, and I'm glad they did because I had quite a laugh through this 10-minute segment. So I am grateful for it. I did want my back video to be the first thing I released after coming out of hospital because it sort of felt appropriate, but this is something that it's probably going to disappear now because it was just one bit of DSP Reacts, and most people don't really care about DSP Reacts. So it felt like something where I could have said something about it. Otherwise, we'd all move on and he'd be doing something like, sex scenes in Baldur's Gate 3, or the fact that it gave him a homosexual relationship at the end because he steadfastly refused to do any heterosexual relationships, anything to do with like intimacy and women. And I've got a lot to say about that, and again, that's another thing that's like on the back burner, just behind the back video. So when he moves on and does new things and we all start talking about other things, this felt like something that could slip by, and for me it was interesting to see like how he functioned through the test and to consider what his answers were. So I felt like I probably should give this one a go, and I might do a few more smaller things going forward as I get back into making content again. And you'll see it the other way. You'll see it in like the streams. I'll start joining streams for a bit more often. It might not be like straight away, but it's, I'm going to gradually work myself back into it. It will take me a while though. I will save a proper update for another time. I was going to put one at the end of my back video, but if you feel like it would be better on like a video of its own, then let me know in the comments. Get a bit of engagement going. Yeah, I would talk about that, but it is for the time being, I am getting better. It's going to take a while, but I am getting better, slowly but surely. So I will ultimately be back to a sort of normal pace. It would just take a long time. They told me at the hospital it could take up to 2 years for the bone to grow around the cage fully. And I'm at the point where I can still feel the cage. I can still feel it when I move certain ways, or sometimes when I'm just tired or sore because I've been out the previous day. So it's still a ways off, but I am gradually at the point. I'm at the point now where I can gradually start doing things again. So just before I go and end this, I would like to say thank you to everybody who sent me a message or tweeted me or gave me, a shout out through a message on the groupthink. The response from this community has been somewhat overwhelming. It's weird to think I'm a thing. So it was weird to have this little part of my life now at the point where I'm like, oh, I've got over 3,000 subscribers. That's wild to me. And to have it have to stop because it helped me get through a lot of horrible times, like going through this and waiting for surgeries and having appointments constantly being cancelled because I wasn't an emergency case. It helped me get through quite a bit, so that I had to stop it. I mean, although it's for a good thing, it was for a good reason, they had to stop really sucked for me. It really, really did. So when people were just, like, really positive and the response was really, like, caring and compassionate and really supportive, that hit me in a way I wasn't prepared for. Like the snort exchange thing. There's a get well soon Steve coin. Even the little things, like they changed the intro of that being said, so it now goes get well soon, man. Yeah, yeah, they meant a lot to me. So thank you, everybody. I'm gonna have to go and take care of the cat. Who's doing well, by the way. She's doing well. The vets told me that, like, in terms of her, thyroid levels, her white blood cell levels, her, kidney and liver enzymes, all that stuff, she is fine. For a 17-year-old cat, she's really healthy. She's still a twat, though.